Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into the world of Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
We've got excerpts from Roger Lowenstein's biography, Buffett,
Buffett, yeah.
ready to go. And we're going to unpack some wisdom. Think of it as a crash course on the man who went from small-town kid to Wall Street legend.
Yeah, we're talking about the guy who turned $10,000 in 1956 into a cool $125 million by 1995.
Wow.
Just let that sink in for a moment.
That's the kind of return that makes you want to pay attention.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
So we're going to break down his life, his investment philosophy, and some of those pivotal decisions. That made him the Oracle of Omaha.
Oracle of Omaha.
But we'll also sprinkle in some of his quirks and eccentricities because, let's face it, the guy's a bit of a character.
He's definitely a character. And one of the things that stands out is the almost cult-like following he has.
Yeah.
People flock to Omaha for his annual shareholder meetings, like it's a financial pilgrimage.
Yeah, it's like he's this folksy, down-to-earth guy in a world that can be super intimidating, you know?
Totally.
He demystifies Wall Street and reminds us that behind all those charts and graphs, there are real businesses making real products and services.
And that's a crucial point. To understand Buffett, we need to go back to his roots. We're talking Depression-era Omaha, a family that instilled in him the values of hard work and frugality.
His father, Howard, ran a grocery store and was a staunch conservative. Imagine being lectured by your boss on the evils of socialism while you're stocking shelves.
Oh, that's got to shape your worldview.
I know, right?
And it wasn't all smooth sailing at home. His mother, Layla, was described as having a complex personality, outwardly cheerful, but prone to sudden bursts of anger.
So you have this young Warren seeking refuge at friends' houses to escape the tension at home. It's kind of a poignant image, right?
Yeah, for sure.
This kid finding solace in friend's kitchen, sipping Pepsi, munching on potato chips, but trying to make sense of the world.
It definitely paints a picture of the contrasting influences.
Yeah.
That shaped his early life.
Yeah.
On one hand, his father, the conservative congressman, and on the other, his mother, grappling with her own internal struggles.
And amidst all of this, young Warren develops a fascination with stocks, a fascination that began on a trip to New York City when he was just 10 years old.
Think about that. Most kids that age are dreaming of toys and candy, but Warren is captivated by the stock exchange.
I know.
He even used to visit his dad's brokerage, mesmerized by those stock and bond certificates. It was like he saw a puzzle he was determined to solve.
And there's this mischievous anecdote about him shorting AT&T stock just to terrorize his teachers who own shares. Talk about confidence.
Wow.
Even then, he had this belief in his ability to understand the market.
It's a glimpse of the investor he would become. But it wasn't just stocks. He was a natural entrepreneur, from paper routes to pinball machines. He approached everything with a businessman's mindset, always looking for ways to maximize profit.
Remember the story about his pinball business?
Yeah.
He and a friend would tear around in a beat-up Buick, the backseat ripped out to make room for pinball machines, rushing to fix them and keep the quarters flowing.
And it wasn't just kid stuff. He kept meticulous records, even typing up monthly financial statements. These were like mini business schools for him.
And then he goes to Wharton, one of the top business schools in the country, and is completely underwhelmed.
Really?
Yeah.
It's almost shocking, right?
Yeah.
Here he is at this prestigious institution. But he's craving practical knowledge.
Yeah.
The nuts and bolts of profit making. The theoretical academic approach just didn't cut it for him.
He wasn't interested in abstract theories. He wanted to know how to make money in the real world. It's like he was already forming his own investment philosophy, one rooted in tangible value, not just academic jargon.
And his dating life during this period is pretty amusing.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a brilliant young Warren, a whiz with numbers, but utterly awkward with romance, trying to impress dates with brain teasers.
Oh, no.
Not exactly smooth moves.
Not smooth at all. It's like he was playing a different game than everyone else, even in his personal life. But all of this leads us to a pivotal moment, his encounter with Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. This is where things really start to click for him.
It's like you're walking down the street and you find a dollar bill, but everyone else thinks it's just a piece of paper. That's what Graham did with stocks.
I see.
He looked for companies that were worth much more than what the market was pricing them at. He called this searching for intrinsic value, and it formed the bedrock of his, and later, Warren's investment strategy.
So rather than chasing the next hot stock tip or trying to time the market, they focused on finding those hidden gems, those companies with solid foundations that were being overlooked by everyone else.
Exactly. And Graham wasn't just a teacher to Buffett. He saw a kindred spirit in him.
Oh,
He even gave him financial advice and bought him a movie camera as a gift, talking about mentorship.
that's amazing. It shows the depth of their connection. Graham saw a younger version of himself in Warren. And this brings us to another turning point. Warren's return to Omaha and the launch of his own partnership in 1956. He's just 25 years old, and he's convincing people to trust him with their money.
Yeah, that takes some serious guts. Imagine being a young guy from Omaha, going up against Wall Street giants
Yeah.
and saying, I have a better way to invest. It's no wonder people were skeptical.
Right. I love the story about Edwin Davis, the urologist who, after a family meeting to assess young Warren, decided to invest. His son later said, "We thought the old man had lost his mind."
It just shows how unconventional Buffett was even then. But he had this unwavering belief in himself and his approach. He laid out his strategy, explained his reasoning, and ultimately his passion and conviction won people over.
So Buffett Partnership is born. What were some of his early moves, and how did his style evolve from Graham's teachings?
He definitely took those teachings to heart, but he also started to develop his own unique style. One key concept he focused on was franchise value, an intangible asset that Graham's more quantitative approach didn't fully capture.
So what is franchise value exactly, and how did that play out in his investments?
Let's take American Express as an example. In the early 1960s, the company got hit with a scandal involving fraudulent warehouse receipts.
Uh-oh.
The stock plummeted, but Buffett saw something others missed.
He saw an opportunity to buy a great company at a bargain price.
Exactly. He recognized the enduring strength of the American Express brand, the loyalty of its customers, and the potential for the company to recover. This is franchise value, the intangible power of a brand, the trust it inspires, and the competitive advantage it creates. He invested heavily, and as you can imagine, it turned out to be one of his most successful early bets.
So he was looking beyond just the numbers on the balance sheet.
Yeah,
He was considering the brand, customer relationships, the story behind the company.
precisely. He was blending value investing with a deep understanding of the qualitative aspects of a business.
And he was still drawn to those smaller, undervalued companies, the diamonds in the rough, that Wall Street often overlooked.
It's like he had a knack for finding those hidden gems. He was a contrarian at heart, willing to bet against the prevailing wisdom of the market.
And then, of course, we have the legendary partnership with Charlie Munger. Tell us about this dynamic duo and how they found each other.
Their first meeting sounds like something out of a movie.
Mm.
Imagine Munger, with his sharp wit and unconventional thinking, captivating Buffett over drinks. It was like they were destined to meet.
Wow. Two brilliant minds, both skeptical of Wall Street dogma, both with this deep-seated belief in finding value where others couldn't see it.
And what's fascinating is how different their personalities were.
Oh, yeah.
Buffett, the introverted analyst, and Munger, the outspoken, sometimes abrasive contrarian.
It's almost like the perfect pairing. They challenge each other, complement each other's strengths, and together they form this formidable partnership.
And their relationship wasn't just about business. It was a true friendship built on mutual respect and intellectual curiosity. They would have these marathon phone calls, dissecting ideas, challenging assumptions, constantly learning from each other.
That's the kind of intellectual spark that can lead to incredible things. And speaking of incredible things, let's talk about Berkshire Hathaway. It wasn't always the sprawling conglomerate it is today, was it?
No, it started as a struggling textile company. Buffett initially invested hoping to turn it around, but he quickly realized that the industry was in decline. Instead, he started using Berkshire Hathaway as a holding company for a diverse range of businesses.
So how did he go from textiles to the behemoth we know today? What were some of the key acquisitions that shaped Berkshire's evolution?
One of the most pivotal moves was acquiring National Indemnity, an insurance company. This gave him access to something he called float.
Okay, break that down for us. What's float, and why was it so important for Buffett?
Imagine this. You're running an insurance company. You collect premiums from your customers every month, but you don't have to pay out claims immediately. That money you're holding, that's float. It's essentially free money. That you can invest until you need to pay out those claims.
Oh, okay.
Buffett recognized the incredible power of float.
Yeah.
It gave him billions of dollars to invest, even before he had to pay out on any policies.
So it was like having this giant pool of money that he could use to buy up even more companies.
Exactly. It fueled Berkshire's growth, allowing him to acquire companies like See's Candies, the Washington Post Company, and later, those massive stakes in companies like Coca-Cola.
This all happened against the backdrop of the 1980s buyout boom, a time when corporate raiders were making headlines with their aggressive takeovers. How did Buffett navigate this era, and what were his views on all the frenzy?
He was skeptical, to say the least. Remember, he's a long-term investor, focused on building value, not on quick profits from financial engineering. He saw many of those buyouts as corporate roulette, enriching the deal makers, but not necessarily benefiting shareholders or the economy in the long run.
So while everyone else was chasing quick returns, Buffett stuck to his guns. His long-term perspective, his belief in building value, rather than manipulating numbers.
He was a contrarian through and through, and that independent thinking is one of the things that makes him so fascinating.
And in the midst of all this high-stakes finance, we have the delightful story of Rose Blumkin, Mrs. B, the legendary owner of Nebraska Furniture Mart. Tell us about this remarkable woman and why Buffett was so captivated by her.
Imagine this. A woman escapes Russia with just $500 to her name, starts a furniture business from scratch, and builds it into an empire, all while outsmarting her bigger competitors. That's Mrs. B.
Wow, she was a true entrepreneur, a hustler in the best sense of the word. There's a story about her dragging furniture out of her own home to fulfill orders when she ran out of stock.
She was a force of nature. Buffett was completely charmed by her. He called her one of his heroes, and he even paid her a higher salary than himself.
Oh, wow. That says a lot about what he truly valued. Hard work, entrepreneurial spirit, and a deep understanding of business. And then, of course, we have the Salomon Brothers saga, a chapter that really put Buffett's principles to the test. Set the scene for us. What happened? And how did Buffett get caught up in this mess?
Well, he invested in Salomon Brothers, drawn to their strong position in the bond market. But things went south when the firm got embroiled in a scandal involving illegal bidding practices at treasury bond auctions.
Oh.
Their reputation was in tatters, and regulators were closing in.
So here's Buffett, this champion of ethics and integrity, facing a major crisis, a potential stain on his carefully crafted reputation.
It was a classic dilemma. Does he cut his losses and walk away, protecting his image, or does he step in and try to salvage the situation, risking further damage to his reputation?
It was a high-stakes gamble. What did he do?
He chose the riskier path, taking over as interim chairman of Salomon, facing down regulators, and vowing to clean up the mess. It was a defining moment. That showed his commitment to doing the right thing, even when it was incredibly difficult.
Imagine him testifying before Congress, facing the media scrutiny, all while trying to right the ship at Salomon. It took guts.
It really did, and his famous quote from this time perfectly captures his approach. Lose money for the firm, and I will be understanding. Lose a shred of reputation for the firm, and I will be ruthless.
Wow, it shows how deeply he valued ethical conduct. Even in the cutthroat world of Wall Street, he wasn't just about making money, he was about doing business the right way.
And this episode highlights a recurring theme in Buffett's career, the paramount importance of reputation.
Yeah.
It's about building trust and understanding that integrity is more valuable than any short-term gain.
That's a powerful lesson, and it applies to all of us, not just in finance. So we've seen Buffett navigate scandals, build empires, and defy conventional wisdom.
But what about his personal life? What can you tell us about the man behind the billions?
Well, his personal life was unconventional, to say the least. His relationship with his wife, Susie, involved a long-term separation and the introduction of another woman, Astrid, into their lives.
Wow.
It raised some eyebrows, but it seemed to work for them.
It's a side of him that's not often talked about, but it shows a complexity that goes beyond his public persona as the Oracle of Omaha. And then there's his approach to philanthropy. Was he always the generous giver we know him as today?
Surprisingly, no. He initially had reservations about giving away his wealth, preferring to focus on growing it. However, his views evolved over time, particularly under the influence of Susie, who was deeply involved in charitable causes.
So she really challenged his thinking about the role of wealth. She absolutely did. She believed that those who have been fortunate have a moral obligation to give back, to use their resources to address societal challenges.
And Buffett eventually came around to her way of thinking.
He did. It was a gradual evolution. But he ultimately established the Buffett Foundation, which focused on issues like population control, reproductive health, and nuclear disarmament. These were causes that resonated deeply with both him and Susie.
So we see this shift from accumulating wealth to a growing awareness of the responsibility that comes with it. And it's not just about writing checks, it reflects a deeper philosophy about the role of wealth in society and the belief that those who have been fortunate have a duty to make a difference.
It's about using your success to make a positive impact on the world.
Now let's zoom out for a moment. What are some key takeaways from Buffett's life and career? What are the enduring principles that have shaped his success?
At the core of it all is his unwavering commitment to value investing. It's about patience, discipline, and the ability to see value where others don't.
So instead of chasing trends or trying to time the market, he's looking for those undervalued companies, those businesses with solid foundations that are being overlooked or mispriced by the market.
Exactly. He's a master of identifying those hidden gems and holding on to them for the long term, riding out the inevitable ups and downs of the market.
It's a strategy that requires a certain mindset, a willingness to think differently, and a lot of patience.
Absolutely. And it's not just about crunching numbers. He also emphasizes the importance of investing in businesses you understand, companies with strong management teams, sustainable competitive advantages, what he calls moats.
Okay, hold on. Let's unpack this moats concept. What exactly does he mean by that, and why is it so important?
Think of a moat as a barrier that protects a castle. In business, a moat is anything that gives a company a lasting advantage over its competitors.
Give us some examples. What kind of moats does he look for?
It could be a strong brand, like Coca-Cola, a unique product or service, a loyal customer base, economies of scale, patents, or anything that makes it difficult for competitors to copy or undercut them.
So it's about finding companies that are not just profitable today, but are likely to remain profitable for years to come, even decades. They're built to last.
Exactly. He's looking for businesses that can withstand challenges and disruptions. He often says, I like to buy businesses that are so wonderful that an idiot can run them, because sooner or later, one will.
Oh, that's classic Buffett. But it's a good point. He's looking for companies that are fundamentally strong, companies where the business model itself is the competitive advantage.
And that leads to another key takeaway, the importance of ethics and reputation. We've seen how fiercely he guards his own reputation and the reputation of the companies he invests in.
Yeah. It's about doing business the right way, building trust, and recognizing that integrity is ultimately more valuable than any short-term gain.
He believes that ethical conduct isn't just the right thing to do, it's also good for business in the long run.
It's about building a legacy that goes beyond just financial success, a legacy rooted in values and principles.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that true success isn't just about what you achieve, but about who you are, how you conduct yourself, and the impact you have on the world.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've seen Buffett's early life, his influences, his investment philosophy, his partnership with Charlie Munger, and his approach to business ethics.
We've seen his evolution from a small-town kid to a Wall Street legend, a man who has defied conventions, amassed a fortune, and built a legacy that extends far beyond the world of finance.
But before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I want to ask you, what's the one thing that stood out to you so far? What's resonating with you?
What stands out to me is his incredible consistency. It's remarkable how he's managed to stick to his core beliefs, even when the market seemed to be rewarding a different approach.
Yeah, it's like he's got this internal compass that keeps him on course, no matter what the trends are.
Exactly. It's a powerful lesson in conviction, sticking to your guns, even when the world is telling you you're wrong, as long as you've done your homework and you believe in your analysis. But let's get back to his investment strategy. We talked about value investing, franchise value, and I think it's time we dive deeper into those moats.
You're right. That's a concept that a lot of people find intriguing, but it can be a bit elusive. Can you break it down for us? What exactly makes a good moat, and how does Buffett spot them?
Think of it this way. You're building a castle, and you want to make sure it's protected. You dig a deep moat around it to keep out invaders, right? Well, in business, a moat is anything that gives a company a lasting advantage over its competitors.
So it's not just about being profitable today. It's about having something that makes it really hard for someone else to come along and steal your business.
Exactly. A company with a wide moat can fend off competitors and keep those profits flowing for years, even decades. And Buffett has a knack for spotting those companies with strong, durable moats.
Okay, so what are some examples? What are some of those moat qualities that he looks for?
Well, a classic example would be a strong brand. Think about Coca-Cola. It's more than just a sugary drink, right? It's a global icon. That brand recognition is a powerful moat. It creates customer loyalty and makes it hard for new competitors to come in and steal market share.
It's almost like a shortcut to trust. You see that logo, you know what to expect, and you're more likely to choose it over some unknown brand.
Precisely. And moats can come in many forms. It could be a unique product or service, a patented technology, exclusive access to raw materials, a network effect like what you see with social media platforms. The possibilities are vast.
So it's not just about looking at the financials. It's about understanding the bigger picture, the competitive landscape, and what makes a company truly unique and defensible.
Absolutely. Buffett often says he likes to buy businesses that are so wonderful that an idiot can run them because sooner or later one will.
He's got a way with words, doesn't he? But it makes sense. You want a business that's almost running on autopilot because it's got such a strong foundation.
Exactly. And a good example of that is his investment in Coca-Cola. This was back in the late 1980s. And he saw something that a lot of other investors missed.
So what did he see that everyone else overlooked? Why was Coke such a sure bet for him?
Think about it. It's 1988. The Berlin Wall is about to fall. People are celebrating freedom and embracing Western culture. And what's one of the first things they reach for?
A Coke. I get it. It was more than just a drink. It was a symbol, a cultural phenomenon.
Exactly. Buffett recognized the power of that brand, the global reach, the enduring appeal of the product. He understood that Coca-Cola wasn't just selling a drink. It was selling happiness, connection, a taste of the American dream.
And that's something that transcends borders and languages.
Absolutely. He saw a company with a global moat, and that's a powerful thing.
So it was a bet on the enduring power of a brand, a bet that people around the world would continue to reach for a Coke for generations to come. And as we know, it was a bet that paid off handsomely.
It was a classic Buffett move, identifying a great company with the durable moat and then holding onto it for the long haul. And that brings us to another important aspect of his investment strategy, patience.
That seems to be a recurring theme with Buffett, doesn't it? Patience, discipline, the willingness to think long-term while everyone else is scrambling for quick profits.
He's famous for saying that his favorite holding period is forever. He's not interested in flipping stocks or timing the market. He's looking for companies that he can hold for years, even decades, letting those profits compound over time.
But that takes discipline, right? Not getting spooked when the market dips, not getting caught up in the hype when everyone else is buying.
It's about having conviction in your analysis and sticking to your strategy, even when it's tempting to deviate. Buffett's approach is almost like a Zen philosophy of investing. Be patient, be present, trust the process.
And that leads us to another interesting part of Buffett's story, his evolving views on philanthropy. You mentioned earlier that he wasn't always the generous giver we know him as today. What prompted that transformation? What made him embrace philanthropy in such a profound way?
His wife, Susie, played a huge role in that transformation. She was a force of nature, deeply passionate about social justice and using her resources to make a difference in the world.
And she challenged his thinking about the role of wealth.
Absolutely. She believed that those who have been fortunate enough to accumulate wealth have a moral obligation to give back, to use those resources to address societal problems.
It's like she was nudging him to think beyond just making money, to consider the impact his wealth could have on the world.
Exactly. And initially, he was hesitant. He preferred to focus on growing his fortune. But over time, Susie's influence, her passion for making a difference, really started to rub off on him.
It's a reminder that even the most successful people are constantly evolving, learning, and being influenced by the people they surround themselves with.
And that evolution led him to establish the Buffett Foundation, which, under Susie's guidance, focused on issues like population control, reproductive health, and nuclear disarmament. These were causes that were very close to her heart.
So we see this incredible arc in his life, from a focus on accumulating wealth to a growing awareness of the responsibility that comes with it, and a desire to use that wealth to make a positive impact.
It's not just about the size of his donations. It's the thoughtfulness behind it, the alignment with his and Susie's values, the focus on issues they deeply believed in.
It's like their philanthropy became an extension of their personal philosophy, their way of leaving the world a little bit better than they found it.
It's a powerful legacy to leave behind. But speaking of legacies, let's talk about Buffett's personal life. You mentioned earlier that his relationship with Susie was unconventional, to say the least.
Yeah, it was a unique situation, a long-term separation, the introduction of another woman into their lives. It's a part of his story that doesn't get as much attention, but it reveals a lot about him, don't you think?
It definitely adds another layer to the narrative. They married in 1952, and while they had a deep connection, intellectually and emotionally, their personalities were quite different.
In what way?
Well, Susie was outgoing, socially engaged, passionate about the arts and social causes. She thrived on connecting with people and making a difference in the world.
And Warren,
Warren, as we've seen, was more introverted, deeply focused on his work. Content with a simpler, more routine-driven life, he wasn't a social butterfly. He preferred quiet dinners with friends or spending hours poring over financial statements.
so these differences eventually led to a separation.
Yes, in the mid-1970s, Susie decided to move to San Francisco to pursue her own interests, while Warren remained in Omaha. It was an unconventional arrangement, but they maintained a close bond, remaining married and continuing to support each other's endeavors.
It's remarkable that they were able to maintain that connection, even while living separate lives. It speaks to their mutual respect and understanding.
They had a deep affection for each other, even though they realized they needed different things to feel fulfilled. And then there's the introduction of Astrid Manx into the picture.
This is where it gets really interesting, right?
It does. Susie actually encouraged Warren to develop a relationship with Astrid, who eventually moved into his Omaha home. It was a unique situation, a sort of open marriage that, as you said, raised some eyebrows at the time.
It certainly wasn't a traditional relationship model.
Not at all. But it seemed to work for them. And it speaks to Buffett's unconventional nature, his willingness to defy social norms, and create a life that suited his unique personality and needs.
It's a reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to relationships. What works for one couple may not work for another, and that's okay.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for you and your partner, and being honest and open with each other about your needs and expectations.
So we've explored the unconventional side of his personal life, but let's circle back to his legacy as an investor. We've talked about his principles, his approach, his successes. But how has he influenced the broader world of finance? What's his impact beyond the walls of Berkshire Hathaway?
His influence is immense. He's become a legend, an icon, often referred to as the Oracle of Omaha. His investment philosophy has inspired countless investors, both professional and amateur.
His annual shareholder meetings are legendary. People travel from all over the world just to hear him speak, to soak up his wisdom, to get a glimpse into the mind of the master.
It's a testament to his unique combination of financial acumen, folksy charm, and unwavering integrity. He's seen as a voice of reason, a beacon of stability in a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable.
He's like this reassuring grandpa figure, dispensing wisdom about investing, business, and even life itself.
Exactly. And his influence extends far beyond just investors. He's become a cultural figure, a symbol of American capitalism at its best. His pronouncements on the economy, on investing, on life in general, are widely quoted and analyzed.
He's a philanthropist, a mentor, a role model, and his impact is felt far beyond the world of finance. He's someone people look up to, someone they aspire to be like.
He's a fascinating figure. But let's not forget that not everyone is a fan. He's faced his fair share of criticism over the years.
That's true. Not everyone buys into the Buffett way. What are some of those criticisms that have been leveled at him? What are the other sides of the coin?
Well, some critics argue that his success is largely due to his access to capital. He has the vast resources of Berkshire Hathaway at his disposal, resources that most investors simply don't have. They say it's easy to preach patience and long-term investing when you're dealing with billions of dollars.
It's a fair point. Not everyone has the luxury of waiting decades for an investment to pay off.
Right. The average person may not have that kind of time horizon or risk tolerance.
But Buffett's defenders argue that his principles are universally applicable, that his approach to analyzing businesses, identifying value, and managing risk is relevant regardless of the size of your portfolio.
It's about the mindset, the philosophy, the discipline, not just the dollars and cents.
It's about thinking like an owner, not just a speculator. It's about understanding the fundamentals of business and investing with a long-term perspective.
And let's not forget that he started with very little capital. He built his fortune brick by brick, proving that his approach can work, even for those starting with modest means.
It's inspiring, really. He's like a living example of the American dream, achieved through hard work, smart decisions, and a lot of patience.
He's a testament to the power of compound growth, of letting your investments work for you over time. But there's another criticism that often comes up. Some argue that his approach is too conservative, that he misses out on opportunities. by being too focused on value and too skeptical of growth stocks and new technologies.
Yeah, it's true that he's missed out on some big winners, especially in the tech sector. He famously avoided investing in companies like Amazon and Google in their early days. He just didn't understand their business models. And he wasn't comfortable investing in something he didn't fully grasp.
But to his credit, he's admitted those were mistakes.
Mm.
He said that his biggest errors have come from what he calls errors of omission, not investing in something when he should have.
But his counter-argument is that he sticks to what he knows, to businesses he understands, and that he's not afraid to miss out on opportunities that fall outside his circle of competence.
It's a philosophy of sticking to your knitting, focusing on what you do best, and not getting caught up in chasing every shiny object that comes along.
It's a lesson in humility, really, recognizing your own limitations and not trying to be an expert in everything.
And his track record speaks for itself. His consistent outperformance of the market over decades is undeniable.
It's a reminder that there's no one right way to invest. Different approaches can be successful, and it's important to find a strategy that aligns with your own personality, risk tolerance, and investment goals.
The beauty of the market is its diversity. It's an ecosystem where different philosophies can coexist, and ultimately success is determined by your ability to adapt, learn, and make sound decisions based on your own understanding of the world.
So we've explored the highs and lows of Buffett's career, his influences, his critics, his unique personal life. It's been quite a journey. As we move towards the final part of our deep dive, I'm curious to get your perspective on this. What do you think is the most enduring aspect of his legacy? What will people remember him for long after he's gone?
That's a great question. And it's not an easy one to answer. He's achieved so much, and his impact is so vast. But if I had to choose one thing, I think it would be his unwavering commitment to principles. His unwavering commitment to principles.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by principles in this context?
I'm talking about his insistence on doing business the right way, building a legacy based on integrity, honesty, and a deep respect for the power and responsibility that comes with wealth. He's shown that you can be incredibly successful without compromising your values.
It's about more than just making money. It's about building something that lasts, something that has a positive impact on the world.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that true success isn't just measured in dollars and cents. It's about the values you embody, the example you set, and the positive change you create.
It's a powerful legacy, and it's something that will hopefully continue to inspire generations of investors, entrepreneurs, and leaders. And what's amazing is that his story is still being written. He's in his 90s, and he's still going strong, still engaging with the world, sharing his wisdom, challenging conventional thinking, and showing no signs of slowing down.
He's a remarkable example of lifelong learning and staying relevant. He's constantly adapting, evolving, and proving that the principles of value investing, ethical conduct, and patient capital allocation are as relevant today as they were decades ago.
And his impact will undoubtedly continue to be felt for generations to come. But let's shift gears for a moment and bring this back to you, our listener. We've spent this deep dive exploring the world of Warren Buffett. But what does it all mean for you? How can you apply these insights to your own life, your own decisions? Whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, or just someone navigating the complexities of the modern world.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to admire Buffett from afar, but how do we translate his wisdom into actionable steps, into real-world decisions that can make a difference in our own lives?
Exactly. It's about taking those abstract principles and figuring out how to put them into practice.
Well, one key takeaway that anyone can apply is the importance of thinking long-term. Buffett's success is built on patience, discipline, and the willingness to ignore the short-term noise of the market. Whether you're investing in stocks, building a business, or simply planning for your future, that long-term perspective is essential.
It's about resisting the temptation to chase quick profits or get caught up in the latest fad. It's about focusing on the fundamentals, the things that truly create value over time.
It's like planting a tree. You don't expect it to grow into a mighty oak overnight. You nurture it, you give it time, and eventually you reap the rewards of your patience.
I like that analogy. It's about playing the long game, understanding that real success is a marathon, not a sprint. And that applies to so many areas of life, not just investing.
Absolutely. Think about your career. Are you chasing short-term opportunities that don't align with your long-term goals? Or are you investing in yourself, developing your skills, building a career that's both fulfilling and sustainable?
It's about asking yourself, where do I want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, and what steps can I take today to get there?
Exactly. It's about having a vision for your future and making decisions that support that vision, even if they require some sacrifice in the short term.
And this brings us to another key lesson from Buffett, the importance of understanding value. Whether you're evaluating a stock, considering a business opportunity, or even just making a purchase, that ability to assess value, to distinguish between price and worth, is crucial.
Think of it this way. You see a fancy car with a hefty price tag. Is it really worth that much? Or is it just overpriced? Because of the brand name and the marketing hype.
It's about looking beyond the superficial and getting to the heart of what something is truly worth.
Exactly. It's about understanding the fundamentals, the intrinsic value of something, and making decisions based on that understanding, rather than getting swayed by emotions or fleeting trends.
It's a skill that takes time and practice to develop, but it can pay dividends in all aspects of your life, from your investments to your career to your personal choices.
And let's not forget the importance of integrity, of doing business the right way. This is a core principle for Buffett, and it's one that should guide all of our decisions, both personal and professional.
It's about building trust, acting with honesty and transparency, and recognizing that ethical conduct is more valuable than any short-term gain.
It's about building a reputation for fairness, for reliability, for doing what's right, even when it's difficult.
And those are the qualities that people truly respect and admire, the qualities that build lasting success.
Absolutely. And finally, let's not underestimate the power of relationships. We've seen how profoundly Buffett's relationships, particularly with Susie and Charlie Munger, have shaped his life and his career.
They've challenged him, supported him, and helped him become the man he is today.
It's a reminder that we don't exist in a vacuum. We're all interconnected. And the people we surround ourselves with have a huge impact on our lives.
So cultivate those relationships. Surround yourself with people who share your values, who support your ambitions, and who challenge you to be your best self.
Find your own Charlie Munger, your own Susie Buffett. Find people who inspire you, who make you think differently, who push you to grow.
These are just a few of the many lessons we can glean from the life and career of Warren Buffett. He's a remarkable figure, a true icon of American capitalism, and his story provides a wealth of insights that are relevant to all of us, regardless of our background, our profession, or our aspirations.
He's shown us that success isn't about shortcuts or get-rich-quick schemes. It's about hard work, smart decisions, ethical conduct, and a long-term perspective.
And most importantly, it's about using your success to make a positive impact on the world.
So as you go about your day, your week, your life, remember the principles we've discussed. Think long-term, understand value, act with integrity, and nurture those relationships. These are the keys to building a life of success, fulfillment, and enduring impact.
And if you're eager to dive deeper into the fascinating world of Warren Buffett, we highly recommend checking out Roger Lowenstein's biography, Buffett, the source material for our deep dive today. It's a captivating read, full of insights, anecdotes, and lessons that will stay with you long after you finish the last page.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Warren Buffett. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of his life, his investment philosophy, and his enduring legacy. And we encourage you to take these insights, apply them to your own life, and see what incredible things you can achieve.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep. And remember, the most valuable investment you can ever make is in yourself.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.